Welcome to another episode of the Nintendo Powercast, and we are doing this live. So I'm going to start doing 10 a.m. Pacific, 5 days a week. We're going live, NPC, and it's not going to be the News Minute. The News Minute I'm going to do separately. It's just going to be a time for us to discuss a particular topic. And today's topic is going to be, will there be a direct in June? Will there be a Nintendo Direct in June? And so I got a few minutes for people to come in, but I've been kind of just scouring the web today looking for different different articles talking about this, and it's not looking too good based on some of the things I'm seeing. So I want to give a shout out to Servant that says, he says, let's go. Becca says, hey, what is going on, Becca? Good to see you. So, and as people are rolling in here, guys, this is gonna be a very much, I need your involvement. I need your thoughts, I need your opinions, and it's gonna really drive these daily shows. So the question we're looking at is, will there be a direct in June? Do we think Nintendo is going to have a direct? And so like a handful of sites have put up polls. I put a poll up on Twitter right now. Let me see. It's only got a handful of votes. It's only been up for 9 minutes. So far, 61% say yes, 23% say no, and 15% say maybe. So Servant says, I think this gets announced on Thursday. Okay. I give a shout out to Dan Little as well. What's going on? I see Nate and Wheelchair Mark. Welcome on in, everybody. Nate says, I don't think so. I don't think so. And then Nate also says, I don't think they announce one Friday with Jeff's thing on Thursday. There we go. Interesting too. I'm going to talk about it in the Nintendo News Minute in the rumor section. But Jeff was interviewed yesterday and talked about how Nintendo is all about being on board with the award show, but they are not they're not on board with the Summers Game Fest. They have not signed off yet. So that means we won't really be seeing anything from them. So another I don't know, a hint, if you will, that we may not be seeing a direct, and it depends on how you want to take it. But Nintendo of Canada tweeted out that they did a Mario Kart 8 tweet, and then they said more courses coming soon, which like we already know. Would they be they're a little vague right now. They're just a little uh a little vague. So Servant says Summer Game Fest could be rough this year. Um, Xbox not going to be doing much. Let's see. With Showcase 3 days later. PlayStation just had theirs, and Nintendo not on board. Yeah, I've always felt Summer Game Fest has been a little bit lacking for me personally. There's never really been anything that's come out of it that I'm like, yo, this is amazing. I know there have been some bigger announcements as the years have gone forward, but nothing that's really impressed me that like makes me want to make sure I tune in. So Nate says that's just the Sony saltiness speaking right there. So again, guys, if you're just tuning in, this is a live show that really is going to be driven by you guys, right? Our topic is, will there be a direct in June? And I don't know. I'm leaning towards no. Now I'm gonna pull up a couple of articles here, and we can take a look. And the first one being from IGN. Okay. So let's take a look here for at the article from IGN. It says Nintendo Direct won't take place in June according to rumors. Here's more along with upcoming Seattle event schedules. So they go on to say, with E3 canceled this year, is Nintendo 2 taking its leave from June's wave of announcements. They got a tweet from Andy Robinson, who is an insider. Okay. So he's definitely an insider. Always has his finger on the pulse of what's happening in gaming. And here's his tweet. It says, "I also heard a Sony showcase is happening in the usual late May, early June window with Konami stuff included." That was 1,000% accurate right there. It says, "I'm not expecting Nintendo to do anything." Okay, well, Sony was accurate. Konami was accurate. Let's move on a little bit here. We got Jeff Grubb, who says, "I'm with Andy. I expect a series of smaller tweets and YouTube drops, if anything. But unlike last year, uh, that's just speculation." So these guys typically know what's going on. I mean, they're not right 100% of the time. The article from IGN says the post was retweeted by VentureBeat journalist Jeff Grubb, who added that he expects a series of smaller tweets and YouTube drops, if anything. But it's just speculation. So, Servant says Sony has a showcase, Xbox has a showcase, Nintendo has nothing. Sony and Xbox does what Nintendo don't. Yes, there's the old joke right there. Nate says, "I'm kidding. However, I do think Nintendo needs to show, since we are in the dark for anything after August. Weird spot to be in. Maybe a new Switch is on the horizon." And that's kind of how I don't know how they want to push Switch consoles until the release of the new one, you know, so they can't announce anything too soon, but at the same time they want to start building hype for it. It's just such a weird, it's such a strange place to be in when they have such a healthy console. When you think about the Wii U coming to the Switch, that was simple. It was like, yo, these things aren't moving anyway. Let's get this ball rolling. But now, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom is still topping sales charts. Street Fighter couldn't even knock it off the top spot. So at least in the UK, I don't know about all the other places, but from the little bit of research I've done for the News Minute this morning, it Zelda's still on top. Let's see. Servant's asking about Perfect Dark. I mean, I would love to see something from Xbox on that front. And I know this is a Nintendo show, but Perfect Dark originated there, and I love that that series to death. So hopefully we see something on that front. Wheelchair Mark says Nintendo Direct at the end of the year. Oh, I hope we see something before that. That would be horrible. Mr. 06 T9 says, "Hey Josh, I feel like Summer Game Fest seemed to always be meh, in my opinion." Yeah. Well, and especially if you're a Nintendo fan, knowing that Nintendo isn't on board yet. I mean, Jeff went on to talk about that, and that just means we're still in the dark with what we're going to see from Nintendo. Do I think we see a summer direct? I 1,000% think we will see some kind of summer direct, but is it in June? I don't know. Everybody 1-2 Switch. Do we see more than just a tweet about this game? Is it just going to be some more YouTube videos? I hope there's more to it. I hope they showcase it. I hope they really push it. I talked about it on one of my other shows that, like, I honestly hope the game is like Jackbox and it's very well received, and it's something that a lot of people are talking about, and we have a good time with. There was a foundation built with 1-2 Switch, albeit a small one, but still there nonetheless, and they could potentially build something great from it. Nate, so let's see. Nate says Metroid Prime 4 doesn't make a good finale, since the highest selling is only 3 million. Yeah. And I mean, I think Metroid, I'll go out on limb. I will say this about Metroid Prime 4. I think it's a launch title or maybe even a year 2 in the next system. I know that's probably not what a lot of people want to hear, but I think we're going to see the release of Metroid Prime 2 and then 3 and then 4, like, and they're gonna just kind of like sprinkle those in. We still have an opportunity to see more Legend of Zelda with the ports from the Wii U of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. So that there's more that they can sprinkle in between before that game comes out. I can't see it being having to start from scratch. I think it's I think that game is still a ways out. You know what I mean, Tears was 5-6 years, right? And that already had assets. Prime 4 had nothing. They took it back to nothing. They scrapped everything. So I think we're quite a ways out. Um, Nate says if we don't see if there isn't a fully fledged direct, then we should be very optimistic we are getting a new Switch within the fiscal year. It's possible. It's possible. Mark wants to know if we're getting a new update for Mario Party Superstars. So that's an interesting question because I wonder about Nintendo going hard with DLC for the remainder of the Switch's life cycle to try to push the sales of more of their games, and then of the older games, while still, you know, bringing in more revenue with the DLC purchases. So there could definitely be something there. And Nate says no more big games to have special edition Switches. It's true. I don't. Servant says we are getting a Mario Kart, or not Mario Kart, Mortal Kombat. I think it's a Mortal Kombat 1 Series S. Do we get a Mortal Kombat 1 Switch? I don't know, but we did see a Diablo Switch. We've seen Monster Hunter Switches, so it's not that third parties can't work some deals with Nintendo to get their game specific Switches out there. I think it's very doable. So Mr. 06 T9 says, I hope to see more new stuff because we really don't know any more games after Pikmin 4 and the other DLCs that we already know about, which of course is Pokemon and Mario Kart. And even in their investor meeting, that's all Nintendo brought up. Pikmin 4, DLC, and Metroid Prime 4. And it's like, how is this game in the how is Prime 4 in the conversation? Not that I don't have any, like, I have nothing but like hope and respect for Retro. Like, they're going to deliver. I'm not worried about that at all. But the question is when. It's not it's not if they deliver, it's just when. But they've got to have the time. Servant says the special edition Switches are the Switch 2. And Nate says that's what I'm thinking. Inventory cleared enough to drop prices now before the unveiling. Yeah, and I mean, I was in a store last night just kind of scoping the landscape. They still had a Zelda Switch available, number of Switches on the shelves. They've moved all of the main first party titles to where they're like front and center. And then everything else is just kind of, whatever's there. In some cases, a lot of the shelves were empty. They had like just paper printed in a spot, but if you moved to see if there was games there, they were out of stock. It's just a weird time. It's a weird time. We're coming to the end of the life cycle. I mean, we can assume. And so if that is the case, if there's I'll ask you guys this question. If there's no direct in June, do you think one, do you think we see a direct in July or August? And does that showcase any big games for this year? What do we think Nintendo does this holiday? Do we think a new Mario game comes out? Because it's very possible you take a game like Mario, Tears of the Kingdom could very much be a game that also is on this new system when it launches. So I think they could do one or two more, you know, especially if they're bigger games like a Mario game. I think it could come out and then they could re-release that game with the new system. Servant says, I'm afraid that Nintendo is in a holding pattern for the rest of the year and nothing big landing until next year. And I mean, for those of you that were gaming with Nintendo during the Wii U life cycle, there were years that we would have nothing. That it would be, it would be kind of slim pickings. I mean, a lot of the time. But like they would just be like, "Yo, sorry, no games this year." You're like, "What is going on?" So Nate says, I think we just see partner directs and indie worlds, and I think this is the end. It's hard to follow up something like Tears of the Kingdom as a farewell. Kind of bookend the Switch with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. That could definitely be the case. That I could see that. Breath of the Wild said bye bye to the Wii U. It's only fitting. A lot, but usually Kirby. Usually Kirby's the one going around nailing, putting the final nails in the coffin. Mr. 006 T9 says, I believe that there will be some kind of direct in the summer, but not sure a full, but maybe a mini. Yeah, because they're just in that strange place. Like I said, if there's a new system coming out, we have a new system on the way. They still want to sell current Switches up through the holiday. Maybe this announcement happens June and we have January, and then we have like a March, and that happens all within the fiscal year. Most of their resources are going into the launch of this new system. Because if you think about it, this is something to keep in mind. The Wii U, things went awfully quiet, right? And they were mostly quiet through its entire lifespan. It had nothing to really offer. But Nintendo came out of their corner swinging with the Switch. If you guys think back to 2017, they said, yo, the new system's coming out and here are the games. And they got up there and they showed Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 2, ARMS, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Third parties were involved. Skyrim is on its way. EA was up there. Ubisoft was showing Steep, which ended up never coming out. I believe they showed Odyssey, which didn't come out till like almost a year after the initial reveal of the Switch. So if the majority of their resources are going into this if it's a new console, and they're trying to push for another year like that, that's a pretty good reason for them to be quiet right now. Because yes, it may be a little bit of a slow year, and it may be a little bit frustrating for those of us that are, huge Nintendo fans, but it could be the calm before the storm, to where all of our wallets cry out in a single voice, how are we going to afford all this Nintendo goodness? There could be something on the way. Servant says, Nintendo could easily beef up Nintendo Switch Online offerings and keep us happy while we wait for the next big game or system. And Mario 35, bring it back. Maybe add a little bit to it. It doesn't seem like it would need that much from the dev team. Not a very large dev team to get that game going again. And it was so much fun. Why take it away from us? Add it back in Nintendo Switch Online. Make it exclusive to Nintendo Switch Online to push more sales of that service. That's That, like, that would definitely beef it up, like you were saying, Servant. Nate says, if I'd say October for the unveiling of the Switch, if we don't get directs, it's very possible. I would say that is very possible. And Servant seems to agree. October announcement for March 2024 release. Mario Day, March 10th is a Sunday. There we go. Nate says, "Oh, you got me thinking." And Mario Day in Japan would be a Saturday for us here locally, so we would get it March 9th. So there you go. I see Car Gaming just jumped in. A new challenger approaches with Car Gaming 21. What's going on? Says, "I'm awake, don't worry." We are doing this is a new show where it's basically you guys are helping me with the as we discuss certain topics. So we're talking, if we see a direct in June, will we see a direct in June? And I mean, again, it's such a strange time. I want to take a look at Nintendo Life. They put out a poll and had a bunch of their staff write up their thoughts, right? So Gavin Lane says, "I don't see there being a full direct until September. We get a dedicated Pikmin 4 presentation sometime, and we'll see retro drops for Switch Online subscribers, plus a wave of Mario Kart 8 DLC tracks. And of course, everybody won to Switch at the end of the month, but Nintendo had nothing to show at E3, and that won't have changed." Interesting. He said, "I wouldn't rule out an Indie World showcase, but the company will be coasting on Tears of the Kingdom for a good while yet." I honestly think, guys, that we are going to see DLC for Tears of the Kingdom. I was looking into some leaks and rumors today. If you guys saw my TikTok or YouTube short or Instagram reel talking about the paragliders that are available that were kind of data mined, that are apparently tied to Amiibo that have yet to be released. So there still may be a Zelda and a Ganondorf Amiibo that are on their way. And I believe those could potentially be released when DLC is announced. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that there is even a chance that we get to play as Zelda and Ganondorf in DLC. Let me know your thoughts on that, but I think it could be a lot of fun to be able to just expand our horizons and actually even play as the villain. I think it could be kind of cool. Mr. 06T9 says, I hope for something, not this month, but July or August. By the way, oh, it's Dave. Okay. I was like, oh, there we go. Okay. Well, what's going on, Dave? Good to see you. Let's see here. Mark says, respectively, if that's the case, I would want to dip on Nintendo if they are not doing anything. Yeah, I'm gonna get me a PS5. Well, I mean, it's again, there's always that weird transition for these studios, for these companies, when they go from one console to the other, and they've got to be able to have that time to put the resources into that new system launching. So I mean, it's not something that I think as Nintendo fans, what we're unfamiliar with is Nintendo really, like, I'm going to do a little bit of research and see what happened at the end of the Wii's life cycle before the Wii U. But we all know that was such a marketing nightmare, that there were so many lessons learned from that transition where they did not market the Wii U correctly, and people didn't even know it was a different system, and some people thought it was an add-on, that they are going to be taking all the steps necessary when they have a system that is sold as well as the Switch, when they're jumping into something new, that it has got to be very well marketed. The branding and the messaging has to be spot on and very clear, or they could quickly run into another Wii U issue, and they don't want that. They want to keep the momentum that the Switch has had for the last 6 years and keep that going on into the next generation for Nintendo. Servant says, if Nintendo spent a year polishing Tears of the Kingdom, then I am hopeful for the Switch 2. Nate says, I think Mario Kart DLC ending this year is kind of telling. I think so as well. I think there's a very real possibility that come March, fingers crossed, new system, Mario Kart, we will see a new Mario Kart. Mario Kart 9 will finally be out in the wild. Fingers crossed there. Uh there's the very real possibility that games like Splatoon, Tears of the Kingdom, maybe even the Fire Emblem game, Engage or whatever that came out, that some of those games could be ported over and more than, like some deluxe versions. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see a handful of deluxe versions make their way to the new system, just to kind of, updated graphics, 60 FPS, all the marketing speech that everybody's into right now. In fact, 60 FPS is trending on Twitter right now. So, and just to guys let you know, like the poll that I put up on Twitter changing significantly. We went from in the 60% to yes to only 40% yes, 40.9, 38.8 saying no, and 27.3 saying maybe. So even as we've been discussing it's getting closer and closer to being even, or maybe even a no. So we'll see as before we wrap up here where this ends up. So Mario Kart 9 on March 9th. There you go, Servant. I'm here for it. He loves his dates. Nate says DLC ending, Tears of the Kingdom release, making a sequel to 1-2 Switch. Now I'm believing. There we go. There we go. So, that's we could potentially be in the early stages of a 2017 happening all over again. And as a Nintendo fan, I'm here for it. We just got Tears of the Kingdom. We get a deluxe edition. Maybe we see DLC for Tears of the Kingdom at the end of this year. You got Pokemon DLC I think it's gonna be relatively big. I feel like my gut feeling is that they're really trying to polish and get that content out there. Summer Toon Link says Nintendo Direct June 2023. That's what we're discussing right now. Do we think it's going to happen? Let me know in the chat if you guys think we're going to see a Direct in June 2023. We are currently looking at a poll that was done over at Nintendo Life, and a bunch of their editors have put in their 2 cents here. Alana, deputy editor, says, I'm pretty doubtful we'll see a full fat Nintendo Direct this June, but Nintendo isn't going to sit in silence for the whole month either. Look, it has everybody 1-2 Switch on the horizon. Come on now, right? So Ollie Reynolds says, I'm going to be quite bullish with my prediction and just say that there's absolutely no way Nintendo Direct is happening in June. Sorry, it's just not. Nintendo already said it wouldn't be attending the now canceled E3, so I see no reason why it would come out with a Nintendo Direct at the same time. Summer Toon Link says, I hope so. I hope there's a Direct. But again, like the industry insiders, a lot of those that are kind of in the know, have stated that there's a good chance it's not going to happen. Also from Jim Norman, a staff writer from Nintendo Life, it says, as much as I would love for there to be a Direct showcase right around the corner, I think it's unlikely. Is the rest of 2023 looking pretty darn quiet for the Big N? Absolutely. But Tears of the Kingdom is still taking up all of our time. Why would you want to rush into the next phase of announcements without letting this new one stew for as long as it possibly can? And we're seeing, he goes into to Splatoon 3 a little bit. He says, I don't think there's going to be nothing new from Nintendo for the whole month, mind you. 'Tis the season to be releasing gaming plans and all. The simplest way to tide us over until the inevitable Pikmin 4 barrage begins in July, drop another wave of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and maybe surprise release of Splatoon 3's Side Order 2. So guys, like I've been saying about like Nintendo really leaning into DLC for the remainder of this year, again, I think Tears of the Kingdom gets DLC. I think it's probably announced late July, maybe after Pikmin. Okay, then they lean into Splatoon 3. They start marketing that game a little bit more, and the DLC coming out. Mario Kart's final wave of DLC, Pokemon's DLC, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a Mario Party or even an Odyssey DLC, which that's 6 different potential DLCs. 2 of those are pure speculation, but the other 4 we know are happening. It seems like, and I mean, some people might even say Everybody 1-2 Switch is DLC. It's only $30. So that that right there really gets me thinking that the remainder of their year is really going to be focused on squeezing as much life out of existing games as possible. And Nate throwing a little bit of shade. It says then we can get Splatoon 4, which will be Splatoon 2.75. Servant asked the question, does the fiscal year ending in March 2024 impact anybody's thoughts? Again, that's a great question, you guys. Let me know in the chat what you think. Nate says, I have a feeling the Switch system itself has plateaued, so March definitely has my brows up. Summertune Link says, we need GameCube on the Switch. Great comment there. It seems to me that Nintendo is recognizing the GameCube games are very profitable for them, and that they can sell those as more than just the free Nintendo Switch Online games. So, such as Sunshine being in the 3D All Stars collection, Metroid Prime, right? What would we do if Animal Crossing, like a GameCube Animal Crossing, was released? That could be interesting. That could be very interesting. I need to look at the maybe somebody in chat can pull it up. When did the first Animal Crossing game release? Japan and US. If you guys could pull those numbers up real quick. I wonder if there's an anniversary for Animal Crossing. And if we don't see DLC, which that would be the 7th game I would add to my list of games that might see DLC to really squeeze the life out of them, because 40 plus million copies of that game in the world, why not do one more DLC to really close out that game, and then do a deluxe version of Horizon, New Horizon on the next system? It seems like it would be a winner right there. Plus, if they added more, like, we're so hungry for Animal Crossing content that if they did a DLC and then they added a little bit more to a deluxe version on the next system, it's game over. Like, who isn't going to be jumping all over that? Nate says, I still can't believe Star Fox got no love on the Switch, not even the Wii U port. And Summer Toon Link says, thanks, I want to play Wind Waker on the Switch. I think there is a very real possibility that we still see Twilight Princess and Wind Waker make their way to the Switch. That could be some of the filler games that are going to help close out this holiday. You've got hype around Tears of the Kingdom, potential DLC for Tears of the Kingdom. Again, that's pure speculation on my part. And then release. It would be nice if they would do a 2-pack, right? But I think, when we see games like Skyward Sword being sold on its own, I just don't know that it's quite possible. So I'm gonna pull up here real quick the release date for Animal Crossing, because I am curious if we don't see something with the anniversary of that game, because I want to say it was around 2003, but I could be mistaken. Let's see. Looks like the very first one. Come on now. Here we go. So the very first one was on the 64 in Japan. And it looks like it was a 2001 release. So yeah, it looks like it was a 2001. I knew it was early 2000s. I was just curious if it was possibly uh 2003. So it says originally released on the Nintendo 64 on April 2014, 2001. The enhanced GameCube it was enhanced and released on the GameCube the same year. This version was localized in North America. So it was in 2001 for North America, September 16, 2022, and in Australia it was October 17th, 2003. And then it wasn't in Europe until 2004, September 24th, 2004. So, and then there was an extended version titled, I'm not even going to try to read it, you guys, but it was released on June 27th, 2003 in Japan. So I don't know. I don't know if I still, Animal Crossing is one of those games that for me, I, I, I foresee them doing more with it, with as many copies of that game has sold. I I really see them doing more with it. So, uh, Nate says, I just don't think more sequels would sell more Switches. If you think about just kind of thinking about the way gaming is moving right now, and a lot of the conversations, a lot of gamers, not all of them, but a lot of them, especially the vocal ones, they want these steady frame rates and these higher resolutions. And the Switch is, I mean, it was dated tech when we got it, right? So I could I could see Nintendo finally taking the plunge into a newer system with at least the thing we're really shooting for, I hope, is a minimum of 1080p and 60 FPS. Like let's start making 60 FPS the norm on the next system, because that's not even the norm on the current gen, PS4, Xbox. Like we're still seeing games coming in at 30 FPS, and I'm not one of those that's like, games should be all 120. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy playing Fortnite at 120. I'm going to play Fortnite on my Xbox Series X more than I'm going to play on my Switch. But my experience isn't ruined because of that. Servant says cough cough Redfall. Exactly. But I mean, you've got games like Mario Kart 8 that are 60 FPS. They look gorgeous, they run smooth, and I'm super content with that game, right? Like, I mean, it's my most played game on the Switch. So Nate says LOL, Redfall had more problems than 30 FPS. Yeah. So there you go, guys. Back to the poll over on Twitter. If we're gonna see a direct in June, 41.7 say yes, 29.2 say no, and 29.2 say maybe. So not many people thinking that it's gonna happen. And a few more leaning into yes, we'll see one. But the no and the maybe, they're kind of overtaking the yes. And my gut feeling, if I had left maybe out, that we would have seen the majority say no. That's just my gut feeling. So uh Servant says, but like Sonic, you don't notice the crap game as much when running fast. I mean, well, that's I think you're referring to Mario Kart, I guess, but I don't know. But I know Servant has a love-hate relationship with Mario Kart. He continually retires from that game after playing. And guys, I was saying that 60 FPS is trending right now on Twitter. And oh, okay. I think I just assumed it was gamers just yelling at each other as usual, but apparently Microsoft's Xbox Game Showcase will be streamed in 4K 60 FPS on YouTube. So that's that's something. It's also pretty funny. I hope all their games are running at that. So um I think that is going to do it for this NPC Live. Like I said, 10 a.m. Pacific, 5 days a week. We're gonna be doing these, and this is gonna be the test week to see how it goes. I might switch it up and do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I love being live with you guys. I was doing the news live, but I was like, you know what? There's not enough just interaction. I want more. I want more just from the community. I want to get more of your guys' voices heard. And so I really appreciate everybody that showed up for, like, I made the announcement like 15 minutes before going live on Discord, and you guys are here making this all happen. So I really appreciate it, and can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Actually, we're going to be doing Mario Kart tonight. So if you want to jump in and do some racing, I would love to hang out with you guys and get some races in with you. That'll be live on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok around. We're probably going to shoot for 3 p.m. Pacific. So probably around 3 p.m. Pacific, we'll be live and doing some Mario Kart. Much love, everybody. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye now.